Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of questionable internet history. My name is Andy, and you're welcome to Holla If You Hear Me, our weekly podcast where we talk about the best and worst of wrestling. It's unfiltered, unscripted, and undisputed. With me tonight, I have Fraz and I have Dirty Dave, and we're tonight talking about the best ever WWE King of the Ring winners in another episode of our best ever series. So, lads, how are we?
I'm very well, Andy. Thank you very much. How are you, buddy? I am
Good, good.
excited.
I
All
can't believe
bow
how much
down and kiss Mabel's ring.
I can't believe how much you look like a cross between Steve Jobs and Tom Hardy. It's impressive.
I'll take the Tom Hardy. I'm loving Dave's Bret Hart fucking look tonight as well.
I'm in no way am I, trying to show my support for who the best King of the Ring is. This is not. It's just pure fluke.
Oi, I'm just going to say, I know who my best King of the Ring is, and it's not Mabel. It's not one of
No,
the.
I should fucking hope not.
Oi, no. For the sake of comedy value, Mabel has to go far in this. If
I
you
will
want
give
to
him.
entertainment value out of Fraz Youssef, you're going to have to get Mabel through.
What I will
But
say is at least King Mabel is actually King of the Ring, rather than unlike this guy who is not a King of the Ring but is the King of the Mountain, and that's Raven from TNA. That was my only point I wanted to make. But it's just a niche little thing I wanted to say.
another non-WWE person.
Another L take.
Yeah. Ring historian, do you have any fabulous old school facts for us or anything of interest to kick us off?
Anything of interest? Well, I got really excited about the King of the Ring. But it did cause some debate between us three, because we were, do we do the King of the Ring pay-per-views? Do we do the King of the Rings including television? So Raw and SmackDown. And then I decided to get a bit geeky and went back and looked at all the King of the Rings that happened before the pay-per-views. So actually, a little bit of fact for you, and I won't give too much away, but the King of the Ring started in 1985. The first King of the Ring winner was Don Morocco, and the runner-up was the Iron Sheik. So they were 1985, 1986, 1987, 1988, 1989, and 1991 King of the Ring tournaments were non-televised live events, but their matches were shown on Wrestling Challenge and Primetime as ways to boost those superstars, just like the King of the Ring ended up doing via pay-per-view and television. So I've one of my picks is from the pre-pay-per-view era, but I will explain more of that later. So yeah.
Yes, just for
Let's
those
get
who are
this.
wondering, yeah, I did question some of Dave's picks because I was like, it's not from the King of the Ring pay-per-views, which is what I was brought up on. But as Andy has said, I will reveal the boys have not seen the brackets.
I'm so excited.
Here is the brackets. Here are the participants. And as you can see, William Regal, Mabel, Brock Lesnar, Booker T, Owen Hart, Ken Shamrock, Kurt Angle, Sheamus, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Triple H, Edge, Bret Hart, Steve Austin, Xavier Woods, Rockabilly, and Wade Barrett. Andy, do you just want to briefly tell new viewers how we set this up?
Well, it's fairly straightforward, really. We each have 5 picks, which we choose, and then we agree universally on which version of Billy Gunn to choose, which in this case was Rockabilly. But it is always Billy Gunn, and you'll find that, generally speaking, in our IC title video, it was Billy Gunn. We had, actually, to be fair, the last one was Brothers of Destruction for our tag team one, and the big men obviously couldn't have been Billy Gunn, but there we are. But yeah, as a rule of thumb, we all love Billy Gunn, so it's always Billy Gunn.
And I did pick the Smoking Guns and the New Age Outlaws.
Did choose those?
So, shall we kick off the first round match? Which
By all means.
William Regal and Mabel.
So Billy Regal was my pick, and I am remiss to speak about Senor Regal. The man's man, the real man's man. He won the 2008 version of the King of the Ring, which was held over consecutive Raws, SmackDowns, and ECW, or I believe episodes of Raw and SmackDown, possibly ECW. On his way to winning the title, on his way to winning the crown, I should say, he defeated Hornswoggle in a submission which lasted 18 seconds. He knocked out Finlay in 3 minutes 37, and finally, and most crucially, he beat one Phil Brooks, CM Punk, by submission in 4 minutes and 7 seconds. Now, the reason why I have William Regal on there is more to do overarching his whole career. I loved William Regal's whole career. In terms of this one King of the Ring tournament, what you have to bear in mind is that this was at the end of Billy's career. And at this point in time, he'd had some health issues, and he was limited in the ring to around about a 5-minute match per match because of his heart condition. Which is why, as I said, each match goes under 5 minutes. He was unfortunately very limited, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he is the man. He is the man's man. He is Billy Regal, and he is the undisputed King of the Ring as far as I'm concerned. Continue.
However, he is not King Mabel, is he? In 1995, this gentleman destroyed the competition. He defeated Adam Bomb, and yes, I don't want you to fall off your chairs, The Undertaker, and beat Savio Vega in the final. Now,
Chevy Vega.
Mabel alone should be through to the next bracket for beating The Undertaker. I mean, that is nuclear bragging rights right there, gentlemen.
He got help.
Listen. I have kind of gone who he beat, his post King of the Ring success, and his King gimmick. He fully immersed himself in King Mabel, leading to Men on a Mission 2.0, knighting Mo as Sir Mo. I mean, that is creative personified. Instant push after he won the crown. Diesel at SummerSlam to be defeated. Look, historically, some people, and we'll say the minority, so it's a bad pick, but bad can be entertaining. David,
Right.
you have the deciding pick.
Are we?
And in tradition, I have completely forgot to start the tournament.
The challenge has not yet begun.
The third one we've done, and I forgot to start it again. So I'm presuming we're just going to do one-on-one votes for this one, gents.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm afraid to say that a lot of good came out of 1995, but it was still the worst year that the WWF ever had. But this is about the King of the Ring. And while I'm British and while I should support my hometown hero of William Regal,
oh my God,
he was suspended like a week after he won the King of the Ring tournament, so never actually did anything as a King of the Ring. So from a comedy value for someone who took the crown and ran until the Royal Rumble 1996 and almost broke Diesel's back at SummerSlam, I'm afraid King Mabel's going through, everybody.
Not hail King Mabel.
Horrendous. Not only did he almost kill fucking Diesel, but lest we forget, is this not the exact match where he breaks the Undertaker's eye?
No, that was later on.
Well, that was a separate fucking botch first.
Yeah, that was after Taker had a go at him for almost killing Diesel.
Jesus Christ. And he's gone through it the second round ahead of arguably the greatest man to never hold a world title. Unbelievable.
The greatest man who could have been a good King of the Ring, but wasn't.
Excellent. Right. And Booker T in the next round, gentlemen.
Who's got Brock Lesnar?
I am Brock Lesnar. I have Brock Lesnar. This was the spring and summer of 2002. Brock Lesnar, no more than I think 5 or 6 weeks on the main roster, ripping through the cruiserweight division, ripping through the Hardy Boys, and just absolutely devastating the entire roster with his brute strength and phenomenal athleticism. On the way to his crowning, on the way to his coronation, I should say, he defeated the greats of Bubba Ray Dudley, Booker T, Test in the semi-final before at the pay-per-view, in fact, he beat Test in the semi-final, and then at the final of the pay-per-view, he beat one Rob Van Dam. Now, in terms of you want to talk about some Hall of Fame criteria, right there, you got Rob Van Dam, Booker T, Bubba Ray Dudley, and Test. That's phenomenal. And then he took that, and I'm right in saying he was one of the first to take that and run to a world title shot straight after. Oh no, you just said Mabel did it. Sorry, my mistake.
I think Brock
but
was
Brock,
the first one to win it.
but Brock Lesnar did take that and then run to SummerSlam where he absolutely destroyed The Rock. So, you know, and obviously went on to have a legendary career, not just as King of the Ring, but just generally. His King of the Ring run was pretty underwhelming. I don't think he even put the crown on. If there even was a crown, I can't imagine Brock wanting to wear a crown. It seems a bit sort of paltry to him. But yeah, for me, one of the best superstars of all time. Questionable later run, especially given what's going on recently. But yeah, Brock Lesnar for me, best King of the Ring out of these two by far.
This is all I need to do in response. King Booker's finger, his little pinky.
Yeah, but Brock beat Booker on the way to this King of the Ring.
Times change, wins and losses. The 5-time WCW champion. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. He beat Matt Hardy, Kurt Angle, right? Yep, and Bobby Lashley to become the 2006 King of the Ring, the first King of the Ring since it stopped being a pay-per-view. The crown was too paltry for Booker T. It wasn't for Booker T. It was for Brock Lesnar, according to you, Andy. But no, Booker T took it and turned into King Booker with Queen Charmel. And he even had, you name it, he even had William Regal and Fit Finlay doing some little things for him in the King's Court for a few months. So there you go. King Booker, the man who's already won absolutely everything, beats Matt Hardy, Kurt Angle, Bobby Lashley to be King Booker, embraces that, runs with that for over a year. It's got to be King Booker. Come on. Everybody remembers King.
Until he got destroyed by the real King of Kings, Triple H, at the SummerSlam following.
Well, we don't talk about that. That wasn't the King of the Ring tournament.
That's my
Razzie, what are you
choice.
saying?
Look, I'm not disputing the fact that Brock Lesnar is one of the best. However, Booker embodied what it meant to be a king.
It was a comedy gimmick for Booker, man.
Yeah, exactly. But he embodied the crown like nobody else did. And Brock just dropped that title and then went on to win the title. It was as if he just used it as a little stepping stone to win a title. And this is about the King of the Ring. It's about being the king. And Booker embraced that. It was all about his character. So I'm putting through Booker T. I'm sorry.
Fucking disgraceful. I don't mind telling you. I'm going to put neither of your picks through on the next round, just so you know you both.
No, it's, honestly, Andy, it's not tactical. I will just say you do have one of the picks that I think is the greatest King of the Ring. So, and we'll get to that shortly. But next up is Owen Hart, the King of Hearts, versus the most dangerous man in the world, Ken Shamrock. David.
Owen Hart, right? Wow. Talk about everyone else followed him. So Owen Hart took the King of the Ring and made it his name. He went from being the Rocker Owen Hart to the King of Hearts Owen Hart and ran with that for 2 years. He beat in the first round to Tonga, who had previously gone 2 years undefeated. He had lost before the King of the Ring, but it's still the first round match you've beaten someone who had a 2-year undefeated run. He then beat in the semi-final the 1-2-3 kid in the greatest 3-minute match you can ever watch. It holds up today for it's just a phenomenal 3-minute match. You can't do it any better. And then he beats our greatest ever Intercontinental Champion Razor Ramon in the final. That's right, Razor Ramon. So he beats an undefeated Native American Tatanka for 2 years. He beats the 1-2-3 Kid in the best 3-minute match you'll ever watch. And he beats the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, Razor Ramon, in the final to become King of the Ring. He then goes on to SummerSlam to fight his brother in a steel cage match for the title. And he embodies the name King of Hearts and runs with that and creates every king that follows the minimum standard to be a king. Owen Hart set the standard to be a King of the Ring. Owen Hart needs to go through.
How many times can you say Owen Hart in a promo, Dave?
I know, right?
Oh.
Fucking hell.
Repetition
Owen
is
Hart, you're putting me off.
I feel like I've been waterboarded with Owen Hart.
All I can say about this man is that he defeated the great Kama Mustafa in his first round in 1998. He defeated Jeff Jarrett, Double J, who we've already said is one of the greatest IC champions of all time.
not the
And
great.
then if Mabel beating Taker wasn't a big enough shock for you, right? Ken Shamrock in the final beat the final boss, the great one, The Rock, Now, although I have just said that Brock Lesnar used the King of the Ring to win the title, Ken Shamrock didn't profess himself to be the self-proclaimed King of the Ring. However, it did lead him to being Prime Shamrock, the most dangerous man in the world, IC champ, tag champ. This guy was feared in the WWF at the time. And that is why I believe Andy should have the deciding pick here and pick. And I know Andy loves UFC, and it's very difficult for an MMA fighter to transition from MMA to WWF. And bearing in mind, he was the first man to do this.
If we're going to suck up to Andy...
However, David, I will say, small caveat, Owen Hart, one of my favourite King of the Ring winners of all time. R.I.P.
Well, I can suck up to Andy as well. Andy, most of the wrestling that you enjoy, which is not a critique, most of those people grew up watching Owen Hart and modelled their wrestling off Owen Hart. So if we're going to play suck up, then Owen Hart's legacy, not only as a King of the Ring winner, but clearly onto the future generations of the business that you know I think you predominantly enjoy. That's got to hit heavy in the heart. Come on, in the King of Hearts.
I'll preface this by saying, actually, this makes it really difficult because I've looked further down the bracket and I don't know whether I should play tactically.
I don't think tactically comes into it. I mean, all of my King of the Ring picks, and it is my fault because I picked them last, are dog shit. So if you put them all through and you're up against me, you're going through to the semis.
No, okay. So I'm going to put Shamrock through, which is against my better nature.
I mean, that is unreal, but he has said it, and it is. I cannot believe Owen Hart has gone out to Ken Shamrock.
Well, I'm hoping that I can. My intention is to curry favour with the person who put Ken Shamrock on the board in the first place, because I've got a funny feeling later on they've got another deciding vote when it comes to two of arguably the greatest Kings of the Ring of all time.
Put Bret Hart out of the Intercontinental title tournament in the first round, and
I have no hate for Owen Hart.
Against the Hart family.
He's
I
literally
love Owen
kicked out
Hart.
the greatest
I love Owen
King
Hart.
of the Ring winner.
I hate Bret Hart so much that I am going to tactically vote against his own brother, against him
Christ.
for King of the Ring winner by putting through Ken Shamrock. And I'm hoping it comes back to help me, but it may well not, and it probably won't, and I don't mind.
Well, we'll go to the next match, which is my all-time favourite, Kurt Angle against Sheamus. And Kurt Angle is not even my pick because you snooze, you lose, right? So who's got Kurt? Is it you, Andy?
No, it's me. But
It's you.
I haven't got the breath left in me to.
I'm not surprised, mate.
Whoever's got Sheamus can go first, and I'll just try.
Sheamus is Fraz.
Sheamus is me. Okay, so 2010 winner. He's possibly my strongest King of the Ring winner. Defeated the legend that is R-Truth, Kofi Kingston in the semi, and John Morrison in the final. Sheamus didn't really need the King of the Ring to elevate himself to the next level because he was already a champ. It just helped him stay relevant. He went on to win the Royal Rumble from this, the world title again. He also used the King of the Ring mantra as a gimmick. He was aggressive. He was your 2010 King of the Ring winner. I have nothing more to say other than the fact that you should put through Sheamus, Andy.
Right.
Even I don't believe myself here.
Let me try and compose myself. Okay. So in 2000, Kurt Angle didn't need the King of the Ring. He was already a Eurocontinental champion at this point. However, the King of the Ring needed Kurt Angle. That's right. It's a new millennium. It's the 2000 King of the Ring. And after the travesties of the 1998 and 1999 King of the Ring, which this is even deeper for me, seeing as Ken Shamrock's just gone through in the previous round. Ken Shamrock and Billy Gunn winning the King of the Ring tournament. We needed Kurt Angle. That's right. Kurt Angle defeated Chris Jericho, who holds the most Intercontinental title reigns, I believe. Crash Holly. That's right. A super heavyweight who weighs in at over 400 pounds. And Rikishi, a super heavyweight who weighs in
over 400 pounds.
After winning the King of the Ring, he was coronated on Raw the following night, and he did wear the crown and the scepter. And it was fantastic. And he went on to have a program with The Undertaker at Fully Loaded and then challenged for the title in a triple threat match at SummerSlam with Triple H and The Rock. And got concussed and was out of the match in 2 minutes. But that's not the point. He did win the title in October. And that is firmly because he won the King of the Ring tournament. But like I said, gentlemen, Angle didn't need to win the King of the Ring tournament. But the King of the Ring tournament needed Kurt freaking Angle. And he didn't break his neck to win this one.
Before you make a decision here, Andy, I will just say I did just premise that with Sheamus. He didn't need to win the King of the Ring, right?
The reasons are very similar.
You know, he's more decorated than Booker or Angle in terms of longevity. Let's go to the cast and vote.
They gave Sheamus the King of the Ring because they wanted to make toys out of that stupid fucking crown he had. With Kurt Angle, they wanted to make a superstar, and they did by putting the world title straight onto Kurt Angle straight after his heroic performance in the King of the Ring tournament, and also the heroic performance he gave in the SummerSlam match, because even though he got concussed, I believe he came back and finished the match, which is really impressive. And then he went over at No Mercy and won the title there. Yes, Kurt. Let's not beat around the bush. It's Kurt.
Yes.
I can't cry with that. I mean, Kurt Angle is the greatest of all time. Next up, wow, what a bracket! Anyone want to do an impression of $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase's Love?
Not with all my kids asleep around me, no.
Possibly not, but I might be able to do something better. I'm not sure. Hang on.
Play his music.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see if you can pick this up, gentlemen. Hang on.
The 42-year-old.
Everybody's got a price.
I don't want to get demonetized, so we'll stop
No,
there.
very much. No copyright.
$1 Million Man and Triple H. David, you have the stand, my friend.
Well, like I said, gentlemen, the King of the Ring goes back longer than the pay-per-views. So, like I said, it started in 1985, but the $1 Million Man won it in 1988, which was an interesting year. It was a big tournament back then, so he defeated Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He defeated Ken Patera, the world's strongest man at that point. He defeated Ron Bass, who was the cowboy Ron Bass. And in the final, he beat the WWF champion at the time, Macho Man Randy Savage, who had previously, this King of the Ring tournament was October, by the way, who Randy Savage had won a tournament in March at WrestleMania 4 and defeated the $1 Million Man in the final to become the champion. So Ted DiBiase just spent 18 months being the top heel in the company. His feud, this book ended the feud of Randy Savage, and this was the precursor to him getting the $1 Million belt and continuing on to be that $1 Million Man gimmick. But yeah, actually one of those stories where the baddie actually wins the overall feud, which is probably one of the only times that's ever happened. And like I said, the precursor and the reward for that was the creation of the $1 Million belt. So you've beaten the world champion, you've beaten the world's strongest man, you beat Brutus Beefcake, who, whether we like him or not, he was one of the most over people at that time, and you get your own belt made for you at the cost of $1 million, and that $1 million belt lives in history. So what more can you say about the $1 Million Man being the King of the Ring?
What you can say is this was before the pay-per-view started, so shouldn't really count. No, I'm joking. It's all in jest. Right. Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Let's speak about Triple H. Not only is he now our King of Kings and our COO and the Chief Content Officer of WWE, producing the weekly televisual extravaganza that we know and love today, but in 1997, he won what many consider to be a belated King of the Ring tournament, where he defeated Ahmed Johnson. I do apologize. He lost to Ahmed Johnson in the first round because he wasn't aware that he could lose via DQ. He then beat Crush, and then beat Ahmed Johnson, and then beat Mrs. Foley's baby boy, Mankind, in the final of the King of the Ring tournament of 1997. Now, the reason why I say it's belated is because, quite simply, if it wasn't for the curtain call in New York City, this would have happened 12 months prior. And Steve Austin wouldn't have been the King of the Ring of 1996. But because of the curtain call, we had to wait a year for Triple H to be crowned as King of the Ring. And in terms of doing things with the crown afterwards, well, after this came DX. After this came DX 2.0. After this came the game and everything else that followed. There is only one true clear winner here, and it is the King of Kings. Bow down to Triple H.
Very compelling arguments there. I don't know if you're looking to put through Triple H due to his incredible legacy that he has from winning the King of the Ring and turning into the game, then you got to put through the game. But Trips needed years to climb to the top of the mountain. DiBiase literally laughed, paid $1 million, and got a butler in Virgil to polish that title. I'm putting through DiBiase.
Oh my god!
I'm putting through DiBiase only because it really did bring about the $1 million belt and the true villain in the late 80s. I'm sorry, but that is going to happen. DiBiase is through. Sorry, Triple H. And we move on to our next match. If Andy can pick us off the desk.
Can I just go back, Andy? Do you want to go back and put Owen Hart through?
No, I'm good, thanks, because I'm pretty confident here.
Edge versus Bret Hart.
Let me talk about Edge. 2001. The middle of the invasion. The beginning of the invasion storyline, where everything was kind of in flux. You had the end of WCW, the end of ECW. Everyone's sort of unsure of what's going to happen with all these talent and everything. And out of the mire comes Edge as King of the Ring to build a star, to build a real star. And on his way to being crowned as King of the Ring, he beat Test. He beat Perry Saturn. He beat the man beast Rhino. And I'm afraid to say, but in a 5-star classic and on one of Kurt Angle's best nights ever, Kurt Angle did lose to Edge in the final of the King of the Ring tournament. But he managed to then go on and beat the crap out of Shane McMahon. So maybe it's not all bad for Kurt Angle that night. Edge took the King of the Ring, basically gave the trophy to his brother for the following 3 months while he carried around the Intercontinental Championship. But in terms of legacies and Kings of the Ring tournament, this was a great King of the Ring tournament and also a great King of the Ring, despite the fact he beat Kurt Angle in the final. So that's my reason for picking Edge. And I do think Edge should go through because I hate Bret Hart with every fibre of my being. Please don't put this fucking vacuum through.
Everybody remembers Bret Hart winning the King of the Ring.
Nobody remembers.
Everybody remembers. Everybody remembers where they were when he beat Pete Doherty in the first round, then Skinner, and then finally beat IRS. Oh, yeah, that's right, people. Because you all thought his King of the Ring victory was in 1993. No, it was, but that wasn't his first King of the Ring title. Oh, no. He won the King of the Ring in 1991. As a matter of fact, he's the only man to ever win 2 King of the Ring tournaments. Legitimately, without any buys, actually beating 3 people each time in the same night. So that was 1991. 1993, the first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view. So Bret winning it confirmed it and solidified it being a yearly annual pay-per-view, bringing it off syndicated television and onto pay-per-view. He beats the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time, Razor Ramon, in the first round. Then in the second round, he beats a 2-time Intercontinental champion, Mr. Perfect. And in the final, he beats the 400-pound Bam Bam Bigelow. That's right. He's a 2-time King of the Ring winner. He made the pay-per-view. He went on to feud with the King title with Jerry the King Lawler before winning back the WWF Championship. Bret Hart is the greatest King of the Ring.
Remember who I put through?
Yeah, but Ken Shamrock doesn't.
Yeah.
You've got
Heel turn! No, I'm only joking.
Don't you fucking do me. Don't you fucking do me.
As if I'd put through fucking Edge over Bret Hart.
Wow.
I mean, Edge needed a ladder, a
dead
briefcase,
to me.
about fucking 15 years to get to the top of the title. Bret just needed fucking 3 matches. Screw you.
Twice.
Bret
He needed
Hart.
it twice.
Up the Bret Hart.
Oh,
Bret
boys.
Hart.
Well done.
You know what?
Revenge
Let's
is
cut straight
sweet.
to the next bit because I've
Revenge
got
is
things.
sweet, Andrew.
Justice is served. And now all I'm going to say is, boys, I have the final say on these next 2 matches. So payback for Owen Hart is coming big time.
You try and have an argument against this one because I'll say this a bit about Bret Hart, and this is my pick here. The first thing I want to be done is to get that piece of crap out of my ring. Don't just get him out of the ring, get him out of the WWF because I've proved, son, without a shadow of doubt, you ain't got what it takes anymore. You sit there and you thump your Bible and you say your prayers, and it didn't get you anywhere. Talk about your Psalms, talk about your John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. Now, I don't need to make an argument about, I'm not even looking at who Steve Austin beat to win the King of the Ring 96. I don't need to. Everything you need to know about Steve Austin, everything you need to know about that King of the Ring is in that promo that I just delivered at 1,000th of the quality that Steve Austin delivered it at. Nothing in following that promo, following that night, wrestling never looked back and was never less profitable. It made more money following that night from merch alone. That one promo, Austin 3:16, is the biggest selling t-shirt in all of wrestling history. Bret Hart never accomplished that. Xavier Woods never accomplished that. Only Steve Austin can go through this. Steve Austin's going to the final. You may as well just put him straight there now because he ain't losing to that schmuck Bret Hart.
Well, he's got to fight Xavier Woods first.
And I will just say that although Austin's victory at the King of the Ring was memorable and possibly career defining for not just him but the WWE or WWF at the time, Xavier Woods beat the legend, the AEW legend that is Ricochet, the Asian sensation Jinder Mahal, and then legit big win, just like my man Mabel and Ken Shamrock beat a legend in Finn Balor to be crowned the King of the Ring. This wasn't just creative giving Xavier Woods the title, but this was one for the fans. They wanted it. All I will say is, although Steve Austin is slightly over, Xavier Woods is also a legend in not just wrestling, but other film productions. David, I pass the mic on to you. I have
Well,
no.
one of the greatest runs as a WWE Tag Team Champion of all time, Xavier Woods. I mean, he's no stranger to being against all odds in a triple threat. Well, actually, we better not talk about Paige, have we? Austin, let's be fair, you know, he's known for the promo because the two matches at the 1996 King of the Ring sucked, didn't they? He got busted open by Mark Merrow. And he had a dreadful final match with Jake the Snake Roberts. That's got to be Austin. It's got to be Austin. It's got to be Stone Cold.
Yeah, I mean, I voted for Stone Cold as well. Okay, now for the biggest match of the first round bracket, we have the legend that is Wade Barrett, but the man that is on everyone's Mount Rushmore, Rockabilly. Now, Wade Barrett is my pick. Terrible King of the Ring winner. Absolutely did nothing. In fact, I think that he got sacked shortly after he won the King of the Ring. The clear pick here is Billy Gunn.
I'm going to go for Billy Gunn.
Do you want to take it? It's a unanimous decision. I mean, for me, beating Ken and beating Kane and then X-Pac in one of the greatest King of the Ring finals of all time is definitely the winner in this. But I'll leave it down to you guys.
He is the one Billy Gunn, let's be honest. And I do enjoy Wade on the mic, and I do enjoy Wade's contributions to wrestling, but he's never been as good as his finisher is dog shit. No, the old finisher, the end. What was it called?
Oh God!
Welcome to the Wasteland or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or
the Wasteland or whatever it's called. And yeah, it's crap.
It's Billy. It's just Billy.
Billy Gunn?
It's got to be Billy Gunn, as horrific as that is.
It's got to be Billy Gunn.
Oh my goodness.
And he wasn't even Rockabilly then, he was Mr. X.
No.
So, gentlemen, we move on to the next round of matches.
So we can be a little bit less partisan now. We can talk about this fairly without being quite so, partisan about who we feel like really ought to go through. Because these aren't our picks anymore. These are just people that won.
Yeah. So we've got Mabel and Booker T.
I mean,
David's pick is Booker T. I mean, I did make a good case for Mabel, and I started.
You did make a great case of Mabel.
Yeah. I started to believe my hype.
I think, in all fairness, Booker T took what Mabel tried to do, but he took it to a whole new level with that King of the Ring and had a much, much bigger run as King Booker. But to be fair, that might not have happened had someone like Mabel not embraced it in the first place. But, you take someone's idea and you make it better. And the 5-time WCW champion did go on to win the World Heavyweight title as King Booker, defeating Batista. So for me, nothing changes. Booker T, King Booker, through he goes.
I thought he beat Ray.
Did he beat Ray but defend it against Batista? I know he lost it to Batista eventually, but I could have sworn he retained it.
He beat Ray because it was Chavo's turn. It was when Chavo turned on Ray at the
yes,
I want to say Great American Bash.
Yes, because it was 2006. Ray was yes, you're right. And then he fought Booker T at SummerSlam, didn't he? Well done, Andy.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me out. So you agree with me, then Booker T goes through.
I still think Booker T should go through, but then I really don't. I mean, I applaud Franz for his gusto in putting over Mabel, but I can't put through a man that broke the Undertaker's orbital socket and nearly snapped Diesel's spine as a King of the Ring. He's not the greatest King of the Ring. He's not better than Booker, and he didn't have a cool accent. Nobody said Booker like Booker. So
Quite right, Andy. We agree.
Okay, well, if that is the final decision, Andy, you have just sealed yourself a gloomy.
you're not going to put Mabel through. You were never expecting Mabel to go through. Come on.
What are you talking about? You remember, I am a kid that was born in 1983.
Okay.
Mabel's run as King of the Ring champ, going on to face Diesel, and although he lost, him and Sir Mo, shall I say, you know, their theme music alone, they were the originals to get on the mic as they're going down the entrance. However, if you want to do this, it's your last chance.
I will happily take the L if it means that Mabel does not wrongfully go through to the semi-finals. Whatever.
Okay.
What will be, because like as I said, we're not partisan anymore. I applaud your efforts, but
what a travesty this is. This bracket should have been Kurt Angle versus Owen Hart in a match that did happen, actually. Kurt Angle used to wrestle Owen Hart in dark matches. But instead, we got Ken Shamrock.
And I might point out it was for nothing as well, because the silly bastard who actually tried to put Ken Shamrock through ended up screwing me over and putting Bret Hart through. So I can't trust Austin. I can't trust Fraz. This is ridiculous.
You can't trust a Mabel lover.
And either way, he wins here because even though Ken Shamrock was his original pick, he loves Kurt Angle. So Fraz wins.
Mate.
It's unbelievable.
He's played you
like a fiddle.
He's played you like a fiddle, and it's Kurt Angle all the way.
It is Kurt Angle all the way, yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about, gentlemen, but we will move on to the next match, which is the $1 Million Man versus Bret Hart.
Both my picks, but as much as I appreciated the $1 Million Man for creating the $1 Million belt and bookending his title feud, Bret Hart got to go for it.
You're just wasting breath there, Dave.
Don't you rush through these. This is vitally
important. No. But the thing is, with perfection and the excellence of execution, there are no words needed. We all knew Andy was going to go for the $1 Million Man because he hates Bret Hart. And I'm always going to go for Bret Hart over the $1 Million Man. We have a big match here, though. We really have a huge tie.
Kurt Angle and Booker T is going to be awesome. Oh, sorry, you're talking about...
Yeah, the colossal match between two of the greatest of all time. Steve Austin and Billy Gunn.
Oh, I was going to say, I can't see it.
Just put Austin through. Come on. We all love Billy, but it's Austin, surely.
It's got to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Although Billy Gunn did at least put the crown on his pants and take the kiss heart that he used to have on the back off.
But does that vote for Billy?
It was short-lived because The Rock demolished his push at SummerSlam. So it's got to be the 1996 King of the Ring award winner, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Look, Billy can't win them all right? As much as we love him,
he hasn't won a single one yet.
What does that tell you? No, New Age
won tag teams.
No.
I thought he won tag teams.
He won tag teams, didn't he?
No, he didn't. You put through fucking the Hardy Boys.
It was the Hardys versus the New Age Outlaws in the final, and the fucking Outlaws won it, boy.
I encourage everybody to go back and watch our tag team video and comment.
I may be completely wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering that
you
completely.
Are smoking some serious dope over that side of it.
Well, someone can go and watch our other video and then come back here and tell me what a wanker I'm
being. The Hardys beat the New Age Outlaws. You both put those through over the New Age Outlaws because Dave turned around and went, can you remember what kind of match, what good match the New Age Outlaws? That put a fucking killer block
on it. Yeah. And then I mentioned Lita's thong, which I'm not going to do now.
Yeah, a stake through the heart of not just me, but every single Billy Gunn fan across the world. So, swiftly moving on, we're going to put Kurt Angle through now.
Hold on. Hang on. Yeah, you're right, but go on then.
Okay, excellent. No, so Andy, just what would have you picked there, Booker T or Kurt Angle? I'm both Kurt.
I've got to go with Booker T.
I'm going with Kurt because Kurt didn't need help to win the resulting championship match at No Mercy.
I'm happy
he just won it outright, whereas Booker needed the help of the court. He also needed help from Chavo to win the world title.
Stephanie helped him actually.
What, beat her own husband?
No, because he beat The Rock.
Ah,
Or it might have been Rikishi, actually.
he did it for The Rock.
I think that could have been it. But anyway, never mind. I don't care. Kurt Angle's through. I'd have been happy with either. I still think King Booker is probably, the best
Booker
king.
lived the gimmick, but Booker
Yeah.
certainly lived the gimmick better than most did. But
Okay. Well, let's set about a loser like Booker T. Why don't we talk about Bret Hart versus Steve Austin? Now, I will just say I have the casting vote on this. And this is why you should have been a bit more clever with your picks, Andrew. Now, this, in my opinion, should have been the final, but it's just the way the bracket is laid out. However, you should have maybe listened to what I said earlier.
I don't listen to barely what anyone says, even my own wife. So.
Both of you. So we've got Bret Hart with one for David, and Andy's obviously going for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Do you gentlemen just want to give me a closing statement on who should be going through?
Now,
you can have 1 point and 1 point only. Okay.
all right, Ron.
We will go with David first for Bret, and then Andy, I will hear your retort for Steve Austin.
Well, I won't say it. I'll use Steve Austin's own words at the most recent Hall of Fame and on numerous podcasts that he's done. There would be no Stone Cold Steve Austin without Bret the Hitman Hart. He said it himself. That's it. Bret Hart, 2-time King of the Ring winner, made Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Andy?
Okay, my reasons for putting Steve Austin through ahead of Bret Hart, quite simply put, is what did Bret do with the crown? What did he do with the win in the tournament in 91? We know in 93 he did what with it? I mean, he didn't really. Did he ever really? I don't know. I'm trying to think of this on the fly. Why did he need to win it twice? I know I'm going to lose, but why would he?
No. Don't listen to what I asked you. I need you to give me an objective answer why Steve Austin. This is not about Bret Hart. This is about why Steve Austin is the greatest King of the Ring winner.
WWE, WWF beat WCW and remained in business because of everything that happened on that night. Steve Austin became the face of the company on that very night, and it's because of Steve Austin that we have WWE today. Otherwise, we'd be watching Eric Bischoff and Ted Turner on Monday Nitro on TNT. Because Austin faced McMahon, Austin faced Rock, and it's all because Austin became Austin 316 that night. I know you're going to put through Bret, and I'm not cut up about it.
I don't know. So to be honest, I went in with this thinking that Steve Austin was the best King of the Ring winner.
I still think he is. I think objectively he is. Bret is the Hart favourite because everyone loves Bret, but I feel like I'm the only sane person in an insane asylum screaming at the top of my lungs to say I'm not the insane one.
I think the less you say, the better chance you've got of Austin going through.
All I'm going to say then, seeing as Andy got another point in, so I'll say one more point.
I like Bret.
No, it's fine. I'm not having a go. But you retorted, so I'll quickly. He won the King of the Ring in 1996. The 2 matches he had were dreadful. He never did anything with the crown. He never referred to himself as the king. His next pay-per-view, he fights Mark Merrow. At SummerSlam, he's on the free-for-all against Yokozuna. He does absolutely nothing as the King of the Ring until Survivor Series, where he fights Bret Hart, where Bret Hart returns after 6 months out and hand-picks Austin as his opponent for Survivor Series, and then wins the Royal Rumble and gets made by Bret Hart again at WrestleMania 13. So actually, as much as I love Austin, as much as the speech is good, and as much as, yes, it did help the merchandise, If it wasn't for Bret Hart, there would be no Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You win, Dave. That was good.
Thank you.
That was good. The only reason,
Sorry.
and I'm going to be objective here. The only reason I thought Austin was the best King of the Ring was because of that promo, and I thought that put him over. But as you've just,
he's great. He's great. I was
if he didn't do much with it straight after winning the King of the Ring until a year later when he fought Bret at WrestleMania. Really, if we're being objective here, we put Austin through over Bret for the WrestleMania match, not for the King of the Ring win. Which leads us to an all-David final between Kurt Angle and Bret Hart.
Up to you two boys. But if I'm going to pick,
who are you picking, Dave? Because that's
I'm going to pick Bret because, like I said, he made the tournament a pay-per-view. He went on to win the Intercontinental. Just on Andy's point, he went on to win the Intercontinental title in 1991. So again, the King of the Ring was used as a stepping stone to get him over enough to fight Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam and win the King of the Ring. So it did serve a bit of a purpose there. Made the first pay-per-view, won the title again after winning the King of the Ring, and then look at all the people he's made. If we're talking about the greatest WWF superstar of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he himself said he wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Bret Hart. Kurt Angle wanted to fight Bret Hart WrestleMania 18 and WrestleMania 20 because of how much respect he had for Bret. I mean, there you go. Everybody involved loves Bret, wants Bret, needs to be like Bret, respects Bret. So the common thing is Bret had to do it first, and Bret had to be the best. Otherwise, why would everyone else care about him?
Andy.
And Kurt Angle was mine anyway. So
anything I say about
it doesn't matter about whose pick it is now.
Yeah, anything I say about Bret Hart is retreading old ground. You've already heard it so many times from me. I loved what Bret Hart was able to achieve when the bell rang until the bell rang again to signal the end of the match. Everything outside of that was dull as dishwater, and still I don't care about Bret Hart. I respect the man. I respect what he accomplished. I don't give a fuck about Bret Hart. Put Kurt Angle through because Kurt Angle achieved everything from winning King of the Ring. He was already Eurocontinental Championship. He didn't need the King of the Ring, but he did it anyway, and he went on and won the world title multiple times and became the greatest bell-to-bell and charismatic wrestler, arguably, of all time. Nobody can beat Kurt on work rate, and not many people can hang with him on the mic.
One small precursor there. Bret won the 1991 King of the Ring after being a two-time tag champ, then went on to be a two-time Intercontinental champion and the WWF champion before he won the King of the Ring again. So, yeah, he did it all as well as Kurt Angle. They both had major success before they won Kings of the Rings. So my own argument for Kurt Angle is also the same argument for Bret. The King of the Ring needed him as well, and he needed the King of the Ring. It balanced out. Bret got the best of both worlds. He got the King of the Ring in 91 to push him, and he got the King of the Ring in 1993 after already doing everything.
Go on, Fraz.
You know I love Kurt, and you know I love Bret. The winner,
so tense,
of the WWE's best ever King of the Ring tournament, hosted by the greatest wrestling show on YouTube, Holla if you hear me, is in the name of this competition, which is the King of the Ring. Yeah. They are the best in ring. They're the measuring stick that anyone that steps in the squared circle aspires to be. And that is the excellence of execution.
Yes.
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. This is not about mic skills. This is about wrestling skills. The King of the Ring was created to find out who the best in the ring is, and that's where you've gone wrong, Andy. Voting for Kurt Angle is just pure blasphemy when you're going for the best in-ring technician, and that is Bret Hart. If we had Chris Benoit in there or Dean Malenko, then you might be talking to me. But Kurt don't even lace Bret's boots when it comes to ability. Yeah?
I'm an atheist surrounded by Christians, and I'm the only one talking sense. And someone out there, somewhere in the world, is going to play with my Richard Dawkins approach and say Bret Hart is no Jesus, he is no Messiah, he's a very naughty boy, and he is bang average on the mic, and he does not deserve the plaudits he gets.
Again, Andy,
I'll,
pull your pants down there, son. It's not about mic work, is it? It's not about mic work. It's about wrestling.
I mean, who's to argue with Stone Cold Steve Austin?
It's about
because in the ring, Steve probably had a really good time with Bret, and he probably looked after him. And I applaud the fact that Bret was a great in-ring technician. But wrestling is pretty much universally agreed that storyline is important, and I have never been invested in a single Bret Hart storyline other than the ones that were controversial because they're involving Shawn Michaels, and it was because of Shawn and Steve I was invested in those stories, not because of Bret.
Yeah, but take that bias out, Andy, because you're talking about mic work. Again, you're talking about the all-round package, and that does not make a King of the Ring winner.
To be fair, though, actually, out of all the King of the Ring tournaments, especially if we take the pay-per-views, with the exception of, because the 2002 King of the Ring pay-per-view, which was the last pay-per-view where Lesnar, where the winner of that King of the Ring officially went to SummerSlam to face the WWF champion, the only King of the Ring tournament to have a story in the tournament itself was the 1993 King of the Ring that Bret Hart won, because Bret had just lost the title to Yokozuna. It was all about what's Bret going to do next? Can he come back from losing the title? What's he going to do? You know, and he goes in there and fights Razor Ramon, who he fought for the title at the Royal Rumble. He goes in against Mr. Perfect, who he's fought for the Intercontinental title before, and then somehow he's got to overcome this monstrous Bam Bam Bigelow. Actually, it is the only King of the Ring pay-per-view that has a storyline in the tournament itself, not around the title match or other matches on the card.
So he didn't need to win it then, did he?
Well, I think he did, because Hogan had come back and stolen his spotlight and made him look shit. So I think this was Bret's way of this was WWF's way of appeasing Bret a bit and keeping him on top, and keeping him on top in the eyes of the fans as well. And it worked, really, because people respected him more after that than they did Hogan, because they saw him go and have 3 completely different matches as well. Each match told an individual story and an overall story. That doesn't mean it's a good story.
Maybe I need to go back.
Doesn't mean it's a good story, but it definitely did tell a story. It might not have been as entertaining a story as some people like. I completely get that. But one thing Bret did do in between the bells is tell probably the best wrestling story. His matches told a story from start to finish. They made sense. They made the other person look better. You know, Hakushi, actually, on this day in 1995, in your house, the first ever one. Bret Hart and Hakushi steal the show at that pay-per-view, and Hakushi couldn't speak English. So, you know, there's plenty of examples. But yeah, I get it. His story isn't the flashiest story, 100%. 100%. But they do make sense.
I will just add that wrestling, you watch wrestling for wrestling. You don't watch wrestling for promos. Yes, promos help develop a story and get you excited for matches. But the reason you watch pay-per-views like WrestleMania and SummerSlam and Royal Rumble and the King of the Ring is because of the matches. And Bret Hart was one of the best, you know.
He's an artist.
It's down to the general public as to who they decide is the best ever in the ring. But Bret is one of the best in the ring. And this tournament was created back in the day when I was a young lad, like we all were, for the best in the ring. And you'd watch the King of the Ring, you'd be like, wow, they're going to have to fight 3 matches in one night. And Bret Hart went out on that occasion in 1993. And like Dave said, put on 3 different matches, told 3 different stories, made it look like an art form. And that's why Bret goes through for me over Kurt. Yeah, Kurt was better on the mic and had funny moments. You know, I'm just a sexy Kurt.
We need to do a show just on that, please.
And various other moments in his career was funny, but that doesn't make him the best King of the Ring winner. It makes Bret the King of the Ring winner is because he's the best in ring. He is the king of the ring.
Well,
and with that,
I can only
urge our viewers to hit the comment section and like this video and share us and show us support. Show Andy support, because right now he looks like a very a sad soul. You know, he looks a bit like a Chelsea fan or a United fan or a Tottenham fan or an Arsenal fan or a Man City. Not quite a Liverpool fan.
No,
not quite a Liverpool fan. But give him your support in the comments. We thank you for watching again. If you've reached this 1 hour video to the end, we love you sincerely, and we'll send you out a t-shirt when we start developing. Yeah.
Or just one of my old t-shirts.
But
please
continue to support the channel. It's all about King Mabel. It's all about Billy Gunn. And tonight it's all about Bret the Hitman Hart.
That's what it's all about.